TBI-Guy speaks here. Chad Klosterman, as you know. Remember, like, subscribe, and share my videos on YouTube and TBIGuySpeaks.webs.com. TBI-Guy Speaks on Facebook. I'm trying to get everywhere. Because I want, you know what I just noticed? I'm saying way too much.
And you're also saying I want too much. It's not always about you.
But I want to share this information.
Maybe the information wants to be shared.
Well, that's fine too.
Okay.
But I figure the more that want the information to be shared, the better, right?
Okay.
So not only me, but the information and you. I mean, of course. If you recall, I did it again. I recall last week I talked about virtues that we work on in Conquest and things that should really be used for all of us in daily life. But I'm taking these virtues and putting a little bit of application towards us that have had accidents, head injuries, missing limbs, broken limbs, you know, whatever the case may be, because we all have them. And actually, these virtues don't matter to those anymore. Don't matter at all. They do not matter.
They're not limited to.
Okay, well, they're not limited to anybody that just has a disability. You know, I love that word. Or anything, or anybody for that matter. Anybody and everybody can use these virtues. And we all need to use these virtues because sometimes we get lost in things and we do not use them. And they are a good reminder of the way we need to be as people. This week's virtue, responsibility. And I'm giving the basic definition. The state or fact of having a duty to deal with something or of having control over someone. Now, the someone part, in my mind, when it deals with us, it's ourselves. Because we don't always think of it that way. We don't like to think that we count as far as, well, I have this paralyzed arm, so if something happens because I can't use it, well, it's not my responsibility. It's not my fault. It's because there's no arm there that works. You know, that just doesn't make any sense. But we all, and I have been guilty in the past, have tried to use, and actually I still do. We use our limitations as excuses to try to lessen the responsibility that we have on our daily lives. And not only do people like myself do it because of my limitations, but we all do it. We all forget, or we all tend not to do something one way because it's easier going another way, to which it might not be done correctly.
We make excuses.
We make excuses, exactly. So, you know, it's one of those deals where we need to be more responsible for ourselves. And those of us that have these issues that are above and beyond the average person, I think I like that one better, saying it that way. We need to quit making excuses. Just, what's the word I'm looking for?
Man up or woman up.
Man up or woman up, and do what we have to do. Understand what we did and what we can do in the future to not have that same issue. And that will also relate back to perseverance that I talked about last week. Because obviously, we have responsibilities, we make a mistake, we're not sure how to overcome that mistake. Well, you persevere to move through that and figure out what you have to do to make it work, make it right, make it better. And like I said, that has to do with everybody. That is just not a disabled person thing or any. We all have to do that. That means you have to do that. Your parents have to do that. Your siblings have to do that. Everybody has to do that. You know, we sometimes get in this mindset of, well, that shouldn't matter to me because of this or
shouldn't
because
apply
of that.
to.
Shouldn't apply. No, it doesn't matter. It applies to every one of us. And the more we take responsibility of our actions and reactions to things, the better people we're going to be. And hopefully able to set examples to others, especially our youth. And man, I would like to think that I've been doing a pretty good job at that. If not, my son's been learning it from my wife and other people. But my son is very, very good at showing the responsibility of his actions to the consequences of them. It impresses me, and I would like to think that I'm part of that. I know my wife is part of that as well, but we like to show these things in an outward way that we can admit to having our faults.
Yes.
And we all have them. I don't care who you are. I talked about this before too. Jesus Christ is the only one that walked this earth that didn't have these issues, because he is the Almighty. He is perfection. So on that note, it's just we need to be more responsible for ourselves, for our actions, for our reactions.
And for the people who are in our care.
People that are in our care, definitely. Because a lot of times we get frustrated with them. But we need to be the best person that we can be to make it easier on them. And one example that I have is when we go to restaurants and we have waitresses that I've been known to be told that I was flirting with them. I don't flirt with waitresses, but I'm a very outgoing guy. Extroverted guy. And what I do is I make our waitresses laugh or smile. And you know what that does? That gets us better attention and better service. Because I don't worry about what her problems are and what she's dealing with. I try to make her experience with us as easy as can be, because you can't imagine, we don't know what is going on in her life or his life. We don't know how their other customers are. All we know is what we can do to make it so that it's not so bad for them. And I see that as my responsibility to get good service, and in return get a smile on somebody else's face and make them realize that, hey, you know, this is not too bad today, because this table is fun. They're not being stressed out on me, or I'm not being stressed out on them, whatever the case may be. But it's what I do to try to make others around me more at ease, more relaxed. And that's the same way with caregivers. Whether it's somebody that has to make sure you get your pills on time, or eat at a certain time, or therapy, or doctors, or therapists. I mean, they have a responsibility to help you get better, just the same as you have a responsibility to get yourself better. And not to blame it on them because this or that or another thing. You have to be responsible for yourself. If you don't do what needs to be done because they're saying, hey, make sure when you go home, you stretch. You do this, you do that. Go take some walks. Ride an elliptical. Get on a bike. Do something to boost up your cardio. Whatever the case may be. Go work your hand. Go, stretch your arm. We all have things that we have to do. And this isn't just people with issues or disabilities, my favorite word. It's anybody. We all have responsibilities. I don't care who you are. We all have them. And it's up to you to make sure you are being as responsible as you can for yourself, your family, those around you, your boss. It doesn't matter. And especially being responsible to Jesus. Because without him and God, we are nothing. The responsibility to your church. Help out your church. Do things to be more there for them and the people around you in your church. It's amazing how good you can feel when you do that.
And you know what it comes right down to?
No.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
We're called to be responsible with what we've been blessed with in this life. So our bodies, our homes, our finances, our families, we're supposed to be good stewards. That's part of responsibility.
Exactly. There's so much more to it. and my simple brain doesn't always think of that off the top of the head, off the top of my head, whose head ever, it doesn't matter really. But you know, these things don't always come to me. That's why my producer is so awesome, because she can put in her 50 cents, which is actually worth about 25, but you know, I'll give her the extra.
Oh,
I know.
I'm holding the camera. Don't mess with me.
All right, that's true. She can edit that, I guess. Anyways, it's all about what we can do for each other, for those around us, and for the Almighty God and above. And that's this week's rant and rave about responsibility. And remember, you don't have to have a disability to have to worry about responsibility. We all have responsibility. And it's all in how we handle our responsibility that makes us who we are and can be for other people. Thanks a lot. Like, share, subscribe. Yeah, that's the other word. So, hey, you guys have a great week, and we will talk to you next week on our next installation of Virtues.